All right, everybody, Marco Palmero, founder of Ulysses in Dubai, and welcome to another episode of Acquisition Case Studies, where we take deals that we have sourced and negotiated in the past, we break them down, we analyze them, and we find lessons and mistakes that we have made so that we can ultimately do better deals here in the United Arab Emirates and in the Middle East. Most of these videos are focused on helping business executives, entrepreneurs, and investors looking to buy assets in the United Arab Emirates and in the Middle East. Hopefully, our mistakes and our lessons can provide you with some help and some information so you can avoid wasting time, money, and resources on bad deals and bad transactions. So today, I'm sharing with you a case that is very interesting for one reason only. It kind of explains how people behave in the city of Dubai. So we're not going to be talking about Middle East or UAE. We're going to be talking specifically about the city of Dubai, which is very flashy, very popular right now. Everybody wants to be there, but there are some complexities that happen and that you need to face when you are in a city like Dubai. I'm going to talk about those in a second. But before we do that, let me give you the background on the deal. As always, we're talking about a deal here that was not even 1 year old. So it was a recently started business, a brick and mortar business that had no staff in it. So there actually were 2-3 people, but they were let go. And we'll talk about why in a second. Then the deal itself didn't have any real estate. So we were talking about buying the equipment, the business itself, the license, and so forth. And the reason why the business was looking to sell, or the owner was looking to sell, was because he had some financial issues. He happened to have a divorce and he wanted to relocate back to his home country. And so he was looking for a way to get rid of this business that he had started with the wife, who was now, was asking for divorce, and get rid of a problem fundamentally. Now, on the financial side of things, I'm not going to give you much information simply because the business had only generated about $100,000 a year because then it immediately stopped operations after all these problems happened. And the moment the owner approached us, the company was actually closed. And so what the guy was looking to do was fundamentally sell the license, the assets that were brand new, and some of the stuff that was in the business. Okay, so I think the interesting aspect about this deal is not really the fact that the deal could have been a good one or not, because for us it was simply a no-go, right? We don't pursue these types of deals that are just fuck-ups of the owner, right? But I think what is interesting is talking a little bit more about the behavior of the seller when it comes to negotiating these deals, because even when the seller knows that he doesn't have any type of leverage at all, he's still going to try to push for a very high price for the business. And I'm going to tell you the story right now so you can get a little bit of more context around this. So as we sat down with this guy, he mentioned to us that he wanted to sell the business. And the reason why he said that to us was because fundamentally he wanted to get out of the UAE. He didn't want to be here anymore. And the divorce made him want to relocate back to his home country. He was trying to build a new life and he wanted to do it in his home country. This business was something he had started with the previous wife, and now, given the situation, it wasn't something that they were willing to do, and they were willing to continue, right? So thankfully, the only shareholder of the business was him. So he didn't split the shares between himself and the wife. So from that perspective, the deal was a bit better, but still it was very complex, because fundamentally what he was asking us to do is to take over an operation that was brand new, no customers, no staff, only equipment and machinery. Fundamentally was asking us to buy a shell, right? A ready to operate business, which is not not something that we do really. But when he said that to me, I immediately said to him that we couldn't help him, right? For me, the conversation ended over there, and I was prepared to leave and go on with my day. But then he asked us, is there a way to structure this deal so that I can exit, even if it's not through you? So I said, okay, fuck it. I'm going to tell him something that he can do, right? So he was looking for a crazy price for the business, about $1 million, give or take, which after looking at the business, I immediately saw it wasn't the real value of all the assets that he had bought. It was significantly more. So fundamentally, this guy was trying to profit out of his mistakes. And that already pissed me off by a lot. But I said to him, okay, fine. If you really want to try to get rid of this thing, the only way you're going to get that money is by finding somebody who wants the new business and is open to take over your operation by paying you in installments. That's the only case scenario that is going to work for you, because every single person looking at a business either is going to look for an established operation, or if he's looking for a shell, he's either going to build it himself or find something that is not as pricey as the business that you're trying to sell, right? Which I'm keep calling a business, but it's not really a business. It's just a furnished office, really. That's what it was. So the guy didn't listen to me, and it's kind of funny because they always say that people don't listen to free advice, although that advice might be the right thing to do. And that's exactly what this guy did, right? So he said, okay, no, I'm not going to do what you say. I think it's ludicrous to give away a business in installments. I'm not going to do that. It's not convenient for me. I need to get out. I need to go back to my home country quickly. So I cannot wait for the money to come in. I need to sell all in one shot, cash up front. And I said, fine, if you happen to find somebody who is willing to pay that price, please call me and tell me, because I'm going to be very, very surprised. So, months went by, and about 12 months later, my team was browsing through one of the broker sites, right? Because every month or so, our team performs a regular check of the deals that are listed on the market, just to make sure we are up to date. We generally have all the deals already because we focus on off-market opportunities and we get access to transactions earlier. But we still perform that as, best practice to kind of make sure we check all the resources that are available. And funny enough, they saw that business listed on a broker site. So I said to them, well, what was the price tag on that business? And they said to me, $300,000. And I was like, look how funny. After waiting 12 months and trying to sell the business for a ridiculous amount, the guy ended up listing the business on a site for a third of the price. So I said to him, this guy is really full of shit. I mean, he thought he could get away with a crazy deal. He wasted 12 months and still he's selling the business for a third of what it's worth. I told him, that guy is never going to sell the business simply because of his mentality. And in fact, 6 months later, the business was still listed on that site, price reduced even more down to $150,000, and nobody was willing to buy it. And so this kind of told me a lesson, which is people in Dubai, especially business owners, are very delusional. And they're very delusional because the city itself kind of conditions you to believe like you are worth much more than you really are. And people are arrogant, people are egotistic, and in most cases they don't even realize what is in their best interest. Because if you think about it and you put it into perspective, if this guy had followed what I said to him and had found somebody willing to give him $1 million over, let's say, 3 years, right? He would have got in 1 year $333,000, right? He would have got more by signing that agreement than the price he was listing the business for on the broker side. But the guy didn't realize this. It was just too greedy, and it was just too stupid to understand this. And so that kind of showed me that many times people are delusional and they need to come back to earth. And in Dubai, people have this problem that simply because the city is for the wealthy and it has this kind of in-your-face approach, everybody thinks they can ask for the moon and get it. But the reality is 99% of people who act that way don't get shit done, don't get a deal done. In our case, don't get their way. And a lot of these guys get fucked over because, again, I'm sure that the third time the business was listed for $150,000, that amount was way less than the whole thing was worth. So the guy was making a loss out of that deal, but he needed to recover some money somehow so that he can actually go back home and do whatever he wanted to do. So the stupidity of the seller in that case made him waste a lot of time, number one, but two, lose a potential deal that he might have gotten by being a little bit more flexible on terms. And that is a situation that I've seen happening many times over. Sometimes I even seen companies that, get completely closed down. Assets stay there, machinery stays there, nobody touches it, simply because the guy is too arrogant to come to terms with somebody else and realize he made a mistake. And again, that is a sad reality, but I think it is an interesting point for buyers to leverage, because once you understand a lot of people act on that type of mentality, you can kind of work your way around it. And to some respect, if you have a decent window of time where you can wait without closing a deal, then you're going to start seeing these guys come back to you and try to renegotiate the deal, because most of them are going to be delusional the first time. Most of them are going to be delusional the second time. Some of them even going to be delusional the third and the fourth time. But after all these spinning around, they're going to come to reality. They're going to realize what's happening, and they're going to potentially be open to do a deal with you. Now, in this case, I used a very extreme example because we were talking about fundamentally assets in an office space. But the same situation applies to profitable companies, break-even businesses, operations. All these types of assets follow the same principles because the seller mentality is pretty much the same. There are a couple of adjustments that you might need to make with a profitable company or a company that is running, because the guy might be thinking a little bit different, but the core foundation is still the same. People are going to be very entitled. They're going to ask for the moon every single time, and all these factors are going to be part of the deal, part of the negotiation process. And unless you're willing to have a window of time for seeing these guys come back around, 2, 3, 4 times, then you might want to work with somebody who already has a network of people that is cultivating, so that you can just avoid all this spinning around and just get access to the guys who already are ready to sell for the fair amount. And so that really comes down to you. You can build that foundation on your own. It's going to cost you time, money, and resources for sure. It took us about 24, 36 months to build our own. But now that we have this constant inflow of people, we know that the first, the second conversation might not lead to a deal, but we keep cultivating these people until they finally click. And at that point, we can close deals or refer these deals to clients that want to actually do a deal. So it all comes down to you. But I think this is kind of explanatory of how people behave in the city of Dubai. Hopefully it was helpful to you. And we'll see you in the next episode.